My, male 28, girlfriend 25, jealous of baby. This might be a long one, sorry in advance, but I really need advice. Me and my girlfriend, we will call her Jane, started dating about 2 years ago. She was incredibly charming and beautiful, and we get along really well. I work a lot, and love doing so. She completely understood, and was fine with dealing with my long hours. Well, not too long after she started dating, she got pregnant, a shock, but I really cared about Jane, so I wasn't too devastated. She really was dead set on it being a boy. I didn't really care, but the thought of a son made me happy. We found out it was a girl, and I was still excited, her not so much. I could sense her mood change about the baby and pregnancy. I talked to my sister, and she told me gender disappointment is a thing, so I didn't think anything else of it. Well, now my daughter is 6 months old, and I see the jealousy more and more each day. For example, like I said, I work a lot, and I feel like I don't get to see my daughter's milestones and her growing up, so I asked Jane to send pictures, and Jane will get upset asking why I don't ask for pictures of her. Or one time I was home and my daughter had fallen asleep on the couch for a nap, and Jane started to try and feel me up, but I asked her to stop because the baby was right there and I wasn't comfortable, and then Jane said, "Always about the baby," and stormed off. Yesterday, I commented how smart our baby was, and Jane rolled her eyes and said, "I really don't see it." Or if anyone makes a comment about how beautiful my daughter is, Jane will say, "Well, I'm beautiful, so that's why." I don't know what to do. I try to balance everything, work, my relationship, being a dad, but I feel like I'm failing. Jane is a psalm, and I don't mind because I make plenty financially, but my sister made the comment the other day that when she went and visited, Jane didn't really interact with our daughter and was on her phone most of the day. I Googled and saw postpartum depression is a thing, so I asked Jane if maybe she wanted to go talk to someone, and she got even more upset at me. I was thinking of proposing on our anniversary, but now I'm worried. I don't want her competing with my daughter the rest of my life. Any advice? I really don't know what to do anymore. Is it something I am doing wrong? Update. I appreciate all of the advice so far, it helps a lot. I asked my sister to watch the baby while me and Jane go out for dinner and a date night tomorrow, and I'm going to use some of the tips I read to talk to her and see exactly how she is feeling about things. I also see areas where I'm lacking when it comes to Jane as a person and as my girlfriend, so I'm going to try to use those as well. I will do a separate update post after our date night to let everyone know how it went. Story 2. My 21M, girlfriend 21F, of 3 years has slept and fooled around with her best friend, 22F, and now wants to be a throuple. I just want to start off by saying, FF a throuple. Those only work when the entire party chooses it at the beginning. Also, that in no way am I against her. For context, I am a postgrad student at college and have been dating my GF since sophomore year. We were really happy. No noticeable signs of distress in the relationship. No signs of resentment. No unusual distance. Great life. Everything was great. She has this best friend, 22F, who's always around. I never had a problem with it because we all meshed well together and have very similar personalities and senses of humor. Her BFF is, but it never occurred to me that anything would happen. I might know. Recently, I went home for the weekend to visit family that was in town. My GF stayed because she had a project to finish, and I understood. When I got back, everything felt weird. She seemed off. She also wasn't into having, which of course may be normal, but she has a high libido, so it was a little out of the ordinary. I also realized she was hanging out with her BFF a lot more than usual. Then, on Thanksgiving, my GF insisted we bring her to celebration because her home life isn't all that great. I agree, and I swear I felt like a third wheel. It was to the point that my brother said, "Who's she really dating?" When we finally did have earlier this week, she insisted we do it with the lights off, which she usually hates. I said sure, but my mind was already on alert. Halfway through it, I got up and turned the light on to reveal numerous and a bite mark on her ones that I know I didn't give her. She burst into tears and confessed everything. The weekend I went home, she slept with her BFF. They kept fooling around and even would grab at each other when I wasn't around during Thanksgiving. She admitted she'd fallen for her BFF, but that I was still the love of her life. After a little back and forth and me shedding some tears, she grabs my hand and brings up the possibility of a throuple. My mind went blank, and I yanked my hand away from her and told her to leave my apartment. She begged and screamed to let her stay and talk it out. I gave one last intense get the fout, and she left looking destroyed. I proceeded to not talk to her at all for a bit. She absolutely blew up my phone with calls and texts saying how she loves me so much and that she just can't choose between us and would be destroyed if either one of us left her life. I finally replied to that one and told her I'll make it easy for you. I'll leave your life and you can have her, which lead to over 100 more texts pleading for forgiveness. I finally agreed to meet with her later today. She's gonna come over. The rules for this meetup are: first, I'm gonna ask any question I feel fit about the affair. Only then, if I haven't already told you to leave and ended things, will I hear her out. I'm so lost, guys. I love this girl with all my heart. I still do. But there's no way I'm gonna be a choice. If she doesn't choose me, I'm not gonna sit around waiting and hoping she does. I've been in a deep depression and have been dealing with it with beer. What questions should I ask? Should I cancel? Please help. Edit. I know I wrote, if she doesn't choose me, I'm not gonna sit around waiting and hoping she does. But that was a retroactive rhetorical statement. She already didn't choose me, so there's no hope for staying. That was just a poor way to express how I felt. Update. Before I dive into the meetup, I wanted to clear a few things up. I didn't want to have to get into this. But if it helps with context, so be it. I have abandonment issues that stem from childhood. This has caused a great deal of anxiety to manifest in me. For this reason, when stuff like this happens, I need to have one last meetup, one last conversation to let everything out. I never want to leave anything unanswered or have any information that I don't know. This may seem opposite to many of you, but sometimes people just have different brains and different ways of living. Trust me when I tell you that not meeting up with her yesterday and leaving my mind to wander would have left me more broken than getting all of the details. I've been through both before. Now on to what happened. She showed up to my apartment and looked like she hadn't slept in days. Face worn out, bags under her eyes. She noticed her clothes packed by the door. I grabbed the bags and walked her down to her car and told her we would have a conversation in the car. Thanks, guys. In the car, I started my questions. Firstly, I asked her. She said that she thinks this was the only time I was nice. As I told her I was happy for her finding herself and that I wouldn't want to hold her back. Cue her crying and telling me I wasn't holding her back, blah blah blah. I then bring up the throuple, to which her face lit up. I'm sure she thought I was in favor of it. My first question was about scheduling and when and how much I got to have, spend time, and be alone with her BFF. Her smile dropped and tears started rolling down her face as she just froze. No answer. I then asked, what if you guys like each other more? Would you have just left me by myself? Cue more intense crying with no answer. At this moment I'm raging on the inside but calm and collected on the outside while giving eye contact that was barely reciprocated. Then I said, so basically, you figured you had deeper feelings for women. Nothing wrong with that. But instead of assessing them, talking to me, and getting through it, you betrayed me, did it multiple times and smiled in my face. Then brought this girl to my family's house where they cooked for you and treated you like a daughter for the last 3 years, and you disrespect me in them by playing grab behind my back. And you say I'm the love of your life? This was the dagger. She full on went mental, I'm not British, and was crying and sobbing hysterically. She kept saying she was sorry and that she loves me, and that she would scrap the throuple idea. At this point I was done. All of the things that belonged to her were in her car with us, and I really had nothing else to say. I told her that again I'm happy she found herself and wished her luck with her exploration and the rest of her life. She tried to reach across from the driver's seat to the passenger seat where I was and grabbed me, but I was quicker and was out of the car. As I was walking back to the door of my building, I took one look back and I saw her laying her face on the steering wheel, forehead on the top. Later that day, she sent me a long paragraph, apologizing profusely, calling herself things, telling me that I was a great partner and that none of it was because of anything I was doing, and that she understands if I never want to see her again, but if I ever had a change of heart, she would love nothing more than to be friends. I simply replied with the thumbs up iMessage reaction, and then blocked her number, all socials, her parents' numbers, and her email. Now here I am. Hurt, but I've also moved forward. You guys were right. I'm going and I don't need to let this destroy my life. I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. I couldn't have done this meeting without the vast insight of the comment section. I wish all of you the best of luck with your journeys.